Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill Wednesday afternoon, and really just some massive news, not only for this UCLA program, really some massive news across the college football landscape. Nico heading to UCLA, or at least that is the expectation Wednesday afternoon. Dill, I'll start with this. Number one, I think this is pretty lucky for UCLA. It became pretty clear that Nico made a mistake over the last couple of days. He thought the market for his services would be a lot more lucrative than it turned out to be. And it sounds like from what you're kind of hearing, look, UCLA is not paying him the money he expected. It sounds like you're getting a five-star quarterback with elite talent on a discount. And Dill, I think secondly, DeShaun Foster probably has done his due diligence with this. Because if you remember, Nico's little brother was committed to UCLA and flipped on National Signing Day to Arkansas. DeShaun, this is not the first rodeo for DeShaun Foster in Nico's family. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he did his due diligence, talking to Nico's camp, probably talked to both the coaching staff and the players in the locker room too, because that's probably another dynamic that went into this decision. At the end of the day, Dill, I feel like UCLA brought in DeShaun Foster to make a move like this. DeShaun Foster was not some sort of up-and-coming coordinator that UCLA went out and got. He was a guy that's been within the UCLA program, was kind of expected to bring some young energy and juice into this program. And Dill, about 12 months into his tenure at UCLA, this is a kind of move that brings some juice to the program. Want to talk about this from a couple of different angles, most notably what he brings to this UCLA program. And now what are the expectations for Nico at UCLA? Before we get into it, as always, whether you're a UCLA fan, whether you're a Tennessee fan, whether you're just a college football fan like myself that has just monitored this situation over the last couple of days, would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. It's been a busy last couple of days. It's going to continue to be a busy next couple of weeks, especially monitoring how this situation plays out. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, you are popping up now twice. I think we got you. And I'm going to ask you this. Thoughts on Nico?
I think it's interesting that you kind of talk about no risk move or even doing your due diligence. Like, I don't really care what went into this decision. Like, DeShaun Foster had to do it. Like, why wouldn't you do this? So you're getting a quarterback who is a premier talent, whether he played up to his talent level last year at Tennessee, probably not, obviously, but certainly a guy who even last year you could see that this is a guy, assuming he can continue on developing, can be very good. And you're getting a real premier talent and not having to pay what I think most schools are paying for this.
The biggest winners here are UCLA. Like, I don't think Nico's a massive winner going to UCLA where you have to come in now in the summer. You have to learn a brand new offense with maybe some question marks on the offensive line. I think the UCLA fans would agree with this. But Dill, I'll also tell you, like, Tino Sunseri as the offensive coordinator at UCLA, that's kind of dynamite. That was one of those hires that kind of went under the radar because there's so much going on across the college football landscape. I thought DeShaun Foster made an excellent hire at the OC position. They do have some intriguing wide receivers. You went out and got App State's Caden Robinson, who I think is a legit dude for UCLA. There are some pieces around Nico, and it's probably not a better situation than where you were at Tennessee, where you were 2 years into the system.
Well, yeah, you can probably remove the probably because it's not. I mean, UCLA, they're building, but that's why I think this is a really good time for UCLA to take their shot at this type of situation. Because, again, for a lot of teams, I think this is a little bit disruptive to the locker room, perhaps, given the way that things kind of went at Tennessee. Right now, it's like UCLA. They're just trying to find their ground, if you will, find what they're going to be as a program after Chip Kelly really left that lake and not a great place in terms of roster talent. So DeShaun Foster, again, I think this is a really good opportunity for him for a very low risk to take a shot to really spark this program.
Bill, you emphasize something important. I don't think this is a tremendous risk because, like you said, there was a lot of moving parts within this UCLA program already, and I don't think you're tying a ton of financial incentives. I'm kind of interested to hear what the rumblings are in terms of what the NIL deal looks like. But it was very clear that UCLA was not going to pay him the $4 million that he was asking for. Like, the way I look at it, this was an opportunity that kind of fell into your lap, an opportunity where, a five-star quarterback trying to find a home and is struggling to find a home. Why not go take it? Especially when
the reward risk paradigm is asymmetric to the upside. Like, seems like all upside and just very little risk, just given where UCLA is kind of at. Because you said it. I mean, this is a program that has flipped itself on its head since Brian. Like, you don't see really. I mean, it's a lot of transfer guys. It's just, again, they're building something new. So I just don't see a huge downside. Again, I think there would have been a huge downside for a team like Notre Dame or a team like USC, a team that's maybe a little bit more established in taking Nico. For UCLA, I just don't really see it as much.
Yeah, I think this is it makes so much, and there wasn't a lot of programs where you said it makes a ton of sense for. You know what I mean? For UCLA, I feel like it makes a ton of sense. Now I'll ask you this, Dill, expectations for Nico going into the 2025 year at UCLA. Because to me, Dill, look, when you have a quarterback that has the ceiling, the upside, the capability that Nico has, especially in a conference where it's like, look, I'm a Michigan fan. Like, there are a lot of question marks that a lot of other programs in the Big Ten have at the quarterback position. I don't think either of us are going to get up here and say UCLA is going to win a Big Ten championship. But this significantly, to me at least, enhances their upside in terms of what they can be in the 2025 year. Where are you sitting with UCLA now going into 2025?
See, UCLA, like, I mean, it certainly changes the paradigm of what this team can be. Again, I look like there's still a lot of work this roster needs, especially on the offensive line. I mean, you brought in some transfer portal guys, but that's still a unit that, like, again, like Eugene Brooks, like, I like the talent. Cortland Ford, I kind of like the talent, frankly. I know it didn't really seem to work out towards the end of his time at USC, but you like some of the talent, but it's very unproven. And again, Nico didn't exactly, like, Tennessee didn't pass protect particularly well last year, and that was a problem. Like, they took a lot of sacks. Nico did turn the ball over a little bit in those situations. So there's going to need to be some strides in terms of his ability to play hero ball a little bit, because I do think that's going to be required at UCLA. And at times that wasn't really what he was able to do for Tennessee last year. But again, the talent is there to be able to be that guy to put a team on your shoulder.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is like you did grab a quarterback that is capable of playing hero ball. And let's just, with all due respect to Joey Aguilar coming from App State, was probably not a guy that could put the team on his back and go put you in contention for games that you might not be able to. And then let's just talk about upside real quick. Like, if you're a UCLA fan, this obviously fires you up going into 2025. What if he kind of becomes, reaches his upside, becomes the face of UCLA? Dill, this is bringing a ton of eyeballs to a program that we think has some real potential to kind of get off the ground. And I think that's why UCLA brought in DeShaun Foster. It's like we needed just an injection of some young energy and a coach that maybe can maximize what UCLA can be as a program. In terms of upside, yes, there's upside in 2025, but what if Nico comes in, balls out, emerges as a quarterback that is one of the best in the country, which is not, I don't think it's crazy, because that's how talented this kid is. What does that mean for UCLA over the next 5 years? Because I see this as an impact. And again, this is just pure optimism upside. We all know the downside. Like, there's plenty of ways this could go wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I look at the upside and say it could provide upside not only for 2025, but really for the next couple of years as DeShaun Foster looks to usher in.
This program didn't really get any juice last year, and I actually thought they played better. I think it was a little unfortunate that they ran into Indiana early and Indiana paced them, and people didn't realize that Indiana was really good by that point. So I think a lot of, like, the enthusiasm for UCLA was killed relatively early in the year, and then they did start to play better ball. They were playing tough. I think they gave Iowa. Did they beat Iowa last year? I can't remember, but that game was very tight at the worst, if I recall.
Friday night.
I believe they did beat them, because I think I bet Iowa. That's just kind of hanging in my mind. But, like, that team, you said it, like, they didn't have the juice because I do think Indiana killed a little bit. If this is like they can get that stadium a little bit more full and just get a little bit more excitement, because again, they will be like, yeah, they're going to be on my TV the first time I get to see them because I am
Oh yeah,
fascinated by what's gonna be the thing.
they're
And I
they're, they're
wouldn't
gonna
have said
be
that if
they're gonna
Joey
be
Aguilar
on
was the guy. I wouldn't.
they're gonna be on a lot of people's TV. Sorry to interrupt you there. You know, like, I don't think you're speaking just for yourself.
Might be some hate eyeball.
But the eyeballs are gonna come, man. And I think a lot of Vol fans are gonna be watching the UCLA Bruins too, staying up late for those West Coast games. It's gonna be fascinating to see. And again,
Because you said it, this is a UCLA program that I am pretty convinced can be in the mix in the Big Ten. Like, I don't know that they have the Ohio State, Oregon, USC ceiling quite there, if you will, but this is a team that I think should be or has the potential to be in that Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin.
What I'm saying, and I'm not going to put a cap on a team, but what I would say here is like they have a higher ceiling than what they've been, than what I feel like people see them as. This is an addition that can maybe ignite it a little bit. What I'm most interested in, this is maybe a good way to close it out. UCLA fans, let it fly in the comment section. I'm wondering, because I know there's a lot of other fan bases that were like, we ain't messing around with Nico, and would have been probably upset had their program brought in Nico. I'm kind of interested to see where the UCLA fans sit, where I look at it and say, yeah, there's downside. If it doesn't work out, it's kind of like Dante Moore. He leaves the program. But what if he does reach the upside? You're getting a quarterback that has so much potential for a really good deal.
And I just don't think there's that much to disrupt right now. Like, again, there are certain teams that you bring in this type of situation and you gotta look at guys like I'm trying to think like Notre Dame stars like a Leonard Moore and like convince him that this is like okay, that we're gonna pay a guy like Nico maybe double, triple what you're getting paid. Like, have that make sense. UCLA is just not in that world because they don't have Leonard Moore.
Didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for a lot of programs. To me, it feels like it makes sense for a program like UCLA. We'll close it out there. Going to be really fun talking this team heading into 2025. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.